Attention, care, effort, integrity have always been the cornerstone of their approach to helping you. Remember the name Mitchell Pearson Jr. Realtors.
Peter Vasquez and Next Step Show on the WYSL stations.
And if you want to join the conversation again, 585-346-3000. It's the Next Step Show with Peter. And by the way, Peter is also, we are told from one of our loyal listeners, it's Trump's birthday today.
Happy birthday, President Trump. I truly appreciate everything you've done for this country. Ladies and gentlemen, si soy yo, tu conservative New Rican. We are talking today with Destin El Gallo Jimenez and his father, his trainer, his mentor, Jason Jimenez. Gentlemen, thank you again for hanging out with us. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I can't just imagine the schedule that you have preparing for your next steps, which I believe you're heading off to a camp coming soon, correct?
Yep, on Sunday I'm heading out to the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
We're all learned, yeah?
Yeah.
So, do you know anything about it? Can you tell our listeners, what does that mean, a pre-Olympic? I mean, that sounds pretty big deal.
Yeah, so for each, in December you fight to make the, Team USA, and then you'll have a selection camp at the beginning of the year. Whoever makes the selection camp, they'll go to international tournaments throughout the year. And before every one of those tournaments, we have a training camp. And this training camp that's coming up is the one right before they're going to leave out to Germany for actually another training camp, and then they're going to go to Paris for the Olympics.
Neat. And where's that? You said the Paris City Olympics. That's Colorado?
No. So Colorado's the training camp. Then
Okay.
they're going to fly out to Germany for another training camp. Then they're going to Paris, France for the Olympics.
Oh, so all this training for the Olympics coming up right now, or here shortly?
Yeah.
No way. I thought it was like some future Olympics.
Yeah.
Like, when's the next one? 2025 or something? 28?
Yeah.
Yes, sir, because the next one's... Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, 346-3000. I'll tell you, these are opportunities for you not to be able to just listen, but call and have a conversation. Share your thoughts. Share your words of wisdom. Listen, if you're a boxer, if you've boxed at any time, if you've been involved in organized sports at the level that this young man is, 346-3000. So Dustin, I want to refer to a Facebook post that you did back on March 9th. Which I believe has to do with this training that you're going to. But I'm going to read it. I'm just going to read it the way you posted it, okay? But I want to ask you a couple questions on that. So on March 9th, you posted, after finishing up our last night of training camp, I would like to take a moment to share a heartwarming thank you to everyone that helped to make sure that I would make it to Albuquerque for the USA National Open. This is a very important time and we were not sure we would be able to make this trip. Without your generosity and support, none of this would be possible. And then you said this, which is what caught my attention. You said, it's unfortunate that hard work and dedication alone doesn't take you around the country time and time again. So thank you again for believing in me. And then because of that support, because of the fact you got to go there, you had said that you received the #1 seed in your division of elite males at weight class 139. Before we get to that, though, let's talk a little bit about the hard work and dedication. You were a young chamaquito, yeah? You were out there, you were working hard, your father had your back. And I have to assume that all your life you heard, man, if you work hard, you stay dedicated, because that's what we preach, right? You're going to get to where you got to go. And it sounds just a statement, and correct me if I'm wrong, that at one point you probably looked back and said, wait a minute, there's more to working hard and dedication. How did you process that whole realization, if I may?
I feel like a lot, especially when I started traveling a lot more and meeting people, especially from like big meccas of boxing like Philly or Las Vegas or California. I wouldn't say that anything's given to them, because they've also worked hard and they've also had to be dedicated for everything they have. But just as far as having more opportunity given to them, having more chances to get their name out there, things of that nature. That portion of it kind of needs to be almost like given to you. Otherwise, you're gonna have to work for it. Being from Rochester, it's not a huge city on the map and everything like that. There's not a lot of people that look at athletes or talent coming from Rochester, and it's going to be harder coming from somewhere that doesn't have as much attention to get your name out there. And so, one day I was talking to my dad, and I told him, well, I just want to train. I just want to fight. I just want to be a boxer. But, just being a boxer, you can't just box. You have to get your name out there. You have to be on social media. You have to do the podcast, the interviews and stuff like that, It's not just boxing. You can't. And ever since he told me that, that's really when I realized that it is deeper than just learning how to fight.
Right, there's a whole outreach, there's a whole PR component to it.
Yeah.
And I have to assume if you're on the same trajectory, you keep this up, eventually you're going to have a whole entourage around you all the time. And Dad, they're going to be like, Dad, who? I'm just kidding. So, the other day, I think it was maybe Sunday, there was an event over at, what is the place called? Atlas something or another?
Oh, Monday. It was Monday.
Oh, Monday. Was it Monday? Okay.
Aquavite.
Aquavite, yeah, beautiful place though. The owner has done a phenomenal job there. I believe he also owns Veneto right next door, which actually, ladies and gentlemen, on June 20th, they're in Veneto. I'll be having an event there myself on June 20th. Stop by. But at that event, which was the first time that I met you, you were dressed in a nice suit, a really nice suit actually. I like that suit. And then you had this big belt. What's the meaning? Because you were carrying it all night. When on TV, when you see boxers, they hang on to that. So two questions. One, is it real gold? And secondly, what is the meaning of that if it's not real gold?
That belt, I'm not sure. That belt is probably not real gold.
No,
it's heavy though.
That's when you get the entourage that you're allowed to carry the gold, right?
Yeah. It feels like real gold though. That's a heavy belt. But that belt, I got that from the Golden Gloves Nationals. I just won that maybe around a month ago, I'd say. I went there. I was in camp back in Colorado for 2 weeks. Then I flew straight from camp to Detroit, and I fought there for another week, and then came back home. And during that week, I fought 5 times. I didn't, in the Golden Gloves, there's no seeds, so there's no walkovers or buys in the Nationals. It's just it's like randomly generated. And just so normally like the tournament in New Mexico, I was number 1 seed. But they also, which is funny, is that I didn't get a bye that tournament either. They set the bracket up in a certain way that there was no buys. I don't know. So the Golden Gloves was a big win for me. Everybody in that tournament, like I told you, I'm the youngest in my bracket. And so just coming in and being the youngest, everybody knows I'm the youngest. They kind of think of me not me being a bad fighter, but it's just kind of more like an age thing, like, oh, I'm not gonna let this kid come in here and take this from me. And next thing you know,
yeah, you made him realize that you ain't no kid.
Yeah, so that was a tough tournament. Like I said, it was a big win for me, but it was deeper than the tournament. We talk about it all the time. Because, for example, like I told you, I flew straight from camp into Detroit, and I flew there. I started fighting on Monday. I flew in Monday morning at like 1 a.m, and I got off the plane, and I had to go meet my dad. Picked me up. We went onto the trial scale. I checked my weight. Had to lose 4 pounds. Straight from there, I drove another 30 minutes back to a gym. It was like a 24-hour gym, and there just happened to be some guy coming out the gym. Otherwise we wouldn't have been able to get in. We didn't have a key card. It was like a scan-in type of gym. And we called him. We asked him if he could let me in the gym. We went in. I started cutting my weight. I didn't get back into the Airbnb until like 3 or 4 in the morning. And I had to be back up at 6 in the morning for weigh-ins. So we went to the weigh-ins.
And it's a 2-hour flight difference from Colorado to
Oh wow,
the time
to Detroit.
zones,
So 5-hour layover on the plane.
yeah, it was a long day. I was traveling literally all day long.
So did you lose the 4 pounds?
Oh yeah,
I
lost the 4 pounds.
Oh man, you know what?
Knocked out his first opponent.
I went on the same day to knock him out.
That's funny.
I got I gotta say, there's probably a lot of people out there that are probably gonna wonder what's the weight loss program that you have that allowed you to lose 4 pounds in less than 12 hours?
Oh no, like an hour.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
So was it like water weight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got to ask that because this kind of attention leads to big egos. Leads to, and no offense, I'm not saying you do it. One of the things that impressed me at that event on Monday night was how you composed yourself there. I mean, you didn't say no to anybody that wanted a picture with you. You didn't walk around like anybody who wanted to talk to you. You talked to them. You weren't unapproachable, right? Yeah. When I saw you, I was watching you talk to one of the TV news stations. And even then, listening to what you were saying, you didn't sit there and really boast. I mean, you were talking as a matter of fact, not as I'm better than everybody else who's here at 18 years old kind of stuff. And I appreciate that. But that I think that really speaks to you and Ma. Right, or to you at least, right? As his trainer, as his dad, can you tell us how, as a dad, how did you deal with, or how do you deal with that component of being a famous person or soon to be, and not overshadowing what he's really wanting to do and not letting his ego or any of that stuff get in the way? Young, that's possible.
I remember a story. Mike Tyson had just done Sports Illustrated magazine because the motto was in the gym. And Mike Tyson had just done this big, huge interview. And after he was done, Cuz came over and he gave him the mop bucket and told him to clean the gym. And I'm saying that because he's taken a bunch of these wins and all these accomplishments and whatnot, and he stays grounded. And I try to keep him that way. So we talk a lot. I speak to him all the time about situations, why this situation was good, why that situation was good. Like, for instance, the trip leading up to Detroit. Mm-hmm. He'd been gone for 3 weeks. He had to be mentally strong for that one. So that's why that was good. And and just staying humble and stuff like that. So it's been going on for years.
Ladies and gentlemen, in studio tenemos aquí al Dustin El Gallo Jiménez, sí, ranking boxer aquí en los Estados Unidos. And guess what? Es un boricua, go figure, because, hey, Puerto Rican power, yeah? Hey, regresamos, ladies and gentlemen. I'm kidding. American power. Aquí en WYSL, 346-3000. Hey, no te vayas. Don't dare change that dial.
Come on, everybody, get on now. Cause we got to get it from. Mary J is in the spot tonight, and I'ma make you feel alright.
In the Rochester and Finger Lakes region, one name stands above all others for real estate appraisal and advice.
Ryan Murphy and Associates.
This full-service real estate appraisal company can appraise and advise on purchase and sales decisions, mortgage finance feasibility, estate, matrimonial, partnership buyouts, litigation, and more. For any type of property, both residential and commercial. Ryan Murphy was founded almost 40 years ago. All of our highly trained staff members have at least 20 years of experience. All our appraisers are either New York State certified, general or residential real estate appraisers.
Ryan Murphy and Associates.
Start here. RYNNEMurphy.com.
Hi, my name is Greg Sadwick, and along with my son Zach, we are the owners of Flower City Collision. We've been advertisers on WYSL, the voice of liberty, for the last couple of years. So I want to thank the listeners of WYSL for their patronage, which has allowed us to grow and reinvest in the latest technologies to ensure that your vehicles are repaired to the most current standards, whether conventional or EV. If you're in a collision, reach out to Zach at Flower City Collision in Henrietta, and he'll work with your national insurance company on your local behalf to ensure that your repair gets done right.
Baseball, hot dogs, and the American flag. They're all part of the rich fabric that makes our country great. Show your American spirit by purchasing your flag from the Stars and Stripes flag store today. When you do, you are supporting critically needed services for local veterans at the Veterans Outreach Center. Let's show our veterans that we care by placing our nation's symbol on the porch of every house in our community. The Stars and Stripes flag store, 783 South Avenue.
Now that the good weather's to make sure your vehicle is in tip-top shape, whether it's for the daily commute or that vacation you're planning. For quality, affordable vehicle service, rely on Rock Auto Service, 1132 Westridge Road. Rock Auto has what your car, truck, or SUV needs. Oil change, brake service, suspension, alignments, exhaust, air conditioning, and tires. Check their Google reviews as one of Rochester's best for customer satisfaction. Rock Auto Service, 1132 Westridge, just east of Mount Reed, 434-5010.
Next Steps with Peter Vasquez on the WYSL station.
Proudly brought to you by Flower City Collision, Rock Auto Service, Westridge Road, and the real estate appraisal firm of Ryan Murphy and Associates. Once again, here's your host, Peter Vasquez.
Muchas gracias, señor. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, in case you didn't know, right, as of 2022, aquí in New York State, there was over 1,200 registered youth boxers, according to the USA Boxing, whatever they are. Association, maybe?
Association, I think.
They require things like comprehensive medical checks, MRIs, blood tests, right, to ensure safety. And New York is home to over 100 boxing gyms. Is that kind of what got you involved, Jason? Because you said you were involved when you were younger as well. Is that kind of what sent you in that trajectory?
I played sports when I was younger, and that was one of the reasons why I said that, the school sports is a difficult thing when you have to rely on your teammates for your success.
Mm-hmm.
And plus politics, I guess, favoritism that I saw when I was going to school. But when we switched over we changed gyms, we went to the Rochester Fight Factory. They closed down after COVID or whatnot. It was one of the places that just didn't open up after all that stuff that was going on with COVID. But we went to the Fight Factory, and they ended up bringing me in as a strength and conditioning coach at first. So I had the opportunity to work with some of the pro fighters and cut their weight. And that was primarily what I did at the gym. And then when the gym closed, there was nowhere to train. And nobody knew what was going to happen with boxing. There were so many things that happened when they reopened the ability to fight. You had to fumigate the ring after. There was, hand sanitizing stations all over the place and all kinds of things that USA Boxing required. So we just trained in the backyard. That whole summer, I was painting and whatnot, and I'd go to work and come back, and we would train in the backyard, go to the beach and go for runs and do all this type of stuff, just waiting for boxing to reopen again. And then it did.
Right.
And then we had to make up for that year. And then that year, Dustin finished out that year with 32 fights that 1 year. So he had 31 fights. He ended up that year at 62 or 63 fights, something like that.
And talk about no excuse. I mean, really, you just took the excuse out of the excuse and said, Mira, we're not going to stop to let the politics do politics or whatever is going on there, and you created something for your son. That's just amazing to me. So Dustin, I said earlier, I wanted to talk a little bit of the psychological component, because when you go in that ring, I have to assume that psychologically you're completely somewhere else. I mean, your mind isn't focused on homework, isn't focused on a girlfriend or dad, nothing. You're there. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So tell us that experience. I mean, when you're looking at that, because you haven't been knocked out or knocked down. We talked a little bit about that in break. I mean, that's pretty big. I know not to mess with you. So not knocked down or knocked out, that's pretty impressive, because you said you were in the ring for 22 fights there in the beginning with some of those people when you were starting. So what is it like in your brain? What's going on? What are you thinking?
My dad talked to me for a long time about, he called it flipping the switch. And I didn't ever understand what he meant. And I don't really know how to explain it. It's kind of just like when you're so focused on something, then when you're put in that position, at least, it's like nothing else matters really. And it took me time to learn how to flip that switch on and off and be able to come on this podcast and be a talkative person, or go to Aquavite and be able to take pictures and talk to people, have regular conversation with people. And then I'm talking to you right now. Maybe tomorrow I had a fight and I had to flip that switch on and be in that headspace. You know what I mean? And just over time and having all the fights that I've had and everything, it's helped me. And you know, a lot of people say that before my fights, like at the Golden Gloves, because you go to the Golden Gloves with the team, and my team was watching me before my fights, and they're saying that I look like I'm going crazy because I don't know. I guess like
that crazed look in your eyes, like you're gonna take somebody down.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I just learned how to control my emotions better, I would say.
Tell me, do you have to get angry before a fight, or do you just go in there and execute as if it's an organized sport?
Not necessarily angry. I think that's what I was saying is about by just me learning how to control my emotions better. You know, I can focus my energy towards one thing more than something else or something like that, and then when I get out, I can change it. You know what I'm saying?
Very nice.
So
gentlemen, we don't have a lot of time left in the show. I was wondering if we can spend the next 2 to 3 minutes. I'd like each of you to share with our guests what I like to call next steps advice. In your case, you know, speaking to the juventud, they're talking about their next steps, what they can do, and serve for you, for parents that have children that want to get involved. Do you guys mind? Whoever wants to go first.
So what was the question?
We call it next steps advice. Advice for our listeners if they wanted to get involved, or if they wanted to do what you're doing. How can they do it?
Yeah, to get involved in boxing. So first things first, if you want to compete, you would have to go to usaboxing.org and register to be a boxer. And then you'd have to go to the doctor, get a physical, and they would end up sending you a book.
Yeah.
And then one other thing, before you can compete, find a gym, find somewhere to go. And there's levels to this, so it just depends on how deep you want to go. There's a lot of, someone might say that they're boxing and it's more of like a cardio thing. We're probably one of the very few gyms that is competitive.
So if they want to get involved with you and learn how to train, how do they get a hold of you, Sir Jason?
239-888-2994. That's my cell phone number. You can show up at the World Gym in Grease Ridge Mall. We're there from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday. There's plenty of paperwork and whatnot there that you can grab to get some info.
Any last words, Dustin?
You can follow me on Instagram at 585gallo. I'm also obviously training with my dad at the World Gym in the Grease Mall. You know, you can come train with me and everything. I'm a friendly guy. I don't bite. So
you just hit really hard. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been my honor to have these two gentlemen here on the Next Step Show. Right, where we find balance in our faith, politics, and entrepreneurship. Listen, Dustin said you could follow him at 585gallo. That is Gall. Oh, not J. Gall. Joe. Which means rooster. It also means cock. Hey, just saying. I was looking at your hat. I'm like, hey, that's interesting.
He's got a rooster hat on.
He's got a rooster head on. Anything else? Anything else you guys can share?
Thank you for having us on the show. Appreciate everything.
Thank you, guys. Job well done there, Dad and Dustin. I'm proud to have you on the show, and I hope to have you on again after your Olympic win.
Follow the Black Hands.
Follow the
Black Hand Podcast. Thanks, Jake Bishop.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've said it a lot. Be a leader, because it is people like Dustin that you create when you become a leader. Emira, say it with me. Say this with me, because leadership is the beacon that guides me. See, this is what you got to believe, for it's through selfless service that I illuminate the way for others to find their own greatness. Y nunca te olvida, aquí in the WYSL Studios, the Next Step Show con the conservative Nuyorican, siempre te amamos.
Con alma de hombre, quiero amarte para siempre, pero tú no me respondes.
This is Mario Prado, candidate for Congress, and I approve